morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, June 5th, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Thursday, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Right now, narrow range heading into the RTH open. Just 29% of average range, 25.5 points of total range heading into the RTH open. The previous session, we only had 25 total points of range. Right now we have 25.5. Super narrow compared to the averages we've been seeing lately, even just compared to the last couple of weeks. And that's nothing to say of what we saw back in early April when we had just crazy amount of points totals for the day. So right now, back to back, total points 25.5 total points right now over the last 2 days, pretty much compressed and in a holding pattern. What are we waiting for? Well, we do have NFP report Friday morning. That's going to be a big one here that the market's going to be awaiting. We'll see how the market responds to NFP tomorrow, but of course this compression right here at the tip of this range, kind of an ascending pattern here. You can see a flat top here, ascending lower line here. Those patterns tend to break to the top side, and of course we've been trending up. We're looking for this thing to break to the flat side here and reach all-time highs. Once we do, there could be another corrective phase here, something similar to what we saw last time. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Even right now, if we were to come up here, break and fail, that failed breakout would be significant and could open up a bit of a pullback up ahead. So coming up to a point here where we have a decision coming up, but 6,000, very important. A push through that level, we open up the next 200 points up above, and then that's going to be a big time decision point for this market as well. Looking at the NQ, back-to-back compression days as well. The previous session, super narrow, 170 points of total range, somewhere in there. We have 130 right now. That's 33% of ADR, super narrow 2-day range. Also uptrending, approaching the previous quarter's high and all-time highs right in this zone, looking for 22.5, somewhere in that zone. Any pullback could get us there. Looking for that stretch to get us there, but once we do, again, do we start to see some sort of pullback that comes into play? And that's kind of what we saw here last time. We got up to that edge and we built a range up here to kind of hold and digest that recent price action. We can kind of see that again play out, where we may rally into 22.5 or thereabouts, maybe pull back and then kind of hang out in here a little while and build. So still working higher, very bullish overall, and right now seeing a little bit of a pop to the upside and a new high here for the moment on the intraday chart, but working our way higher until proven otherwise, or until we see a strong high develop. Again, if we come in here with a breakout to the upside and fail hard, that could open up at the very least a pullback within range, and then we try again later. So keeping an eye on this edge right now. Looking at crude oil. Right now, crude oil up 0.9%, 63.43 is the last trade, and this thing is still bumping up against 64s. 64, very important here, big time key level. Look at 64s and the precision we've seen here lately. Big time zone right there, and this market has been finding higher lows heading into that zone. We've been compressed. You can see Monday we had quite the push to the upside, a 3-day holding pattern here, and nice compression. At some point, the expectation is for a breakout through 64s that could take us into 70 and up to 72 to 73. So it could be a nice breakout up ahead, building that energy right now, but still clearly holding until an expansive phase occurs. Nice rounded bottom developing. Even one more big pullback or shakeout phase could get this thing expanding through the top. So 64 is very important here for crude oil. Looking at gold futures, this one's up 0.2% right now. This one's showing strength, but at the same time we've reached an area 3,400 to 3,450 that has been an area that has really lacked an ability to find acceptance beyond that zone. You know, every time we get into that area, there's some sort of selling pressure that occurs. And we've been hanging out in that area for the last several days. Haven't necessarily rejected it, but also haven't necessarily busted through that area. And right now, showing a little bit of selling pressure in that zone. So again, keep an eye on this area. That was a day one rejection for us. We said that we could rally toward 3,400, 3,450, but once we do, all bets are off at that point. So we've already got the easy move now. What happens here in this zone? Do we rotate back down within the range and try again? Or does this thing try to push a little bit higher into 3,500? Remember, we had that 7-day compression here and we're on our way out. Do we still try to stretch it here, or is 3,400 too much? So keeping an eye on this zone here, and right now showing early signs of rejection at prices above 3-day highs. All right, looking at the YM right now, the YM up 1/3 of 1% right now. Really every single market higher at the moment. The dollar up, gold up, crude oil up, YM, all of the energy complex here, at least on the future side, mildly higher right now. The YM here, 2-3-day compression, still within that broader, you know, 18, 19, 20-day compression here, all compressing around yearly VWAP, the quarterly close, all the 200-day moving average. There's just a ton of energy right now in this zone here for the YM, and that could release to the upside. And if it does release to the upside, again, we're looking for this thing to stretch toward that 45,000 all-time high and the previous quarter's high. Can it bust through 43,000 right there? That's the top of this 3-week compression, almost 4-week compression right here. Can we bust through and open it up to the upside? Until then, we're still kind of in the range, and we could continue to trade anywhere in this range until that expansion day occurs. And at the same token, we could come all the way back and then try again for an upside push. And you know, even if we drop as deep as 41K, that's 1,600 points from where we currently are. So still building up energy here. At some point, we could release that energy tremendously. If it's a failure through 41K, we open up a move that takes us back toward 39, maybe even lower. We'll see. But right now, building energy, looking for a push through 43 at some point for opening up that previous quarter's high at 45.2. All right, looking at Bitcoin, up 0.8% right now, holding the 105 level. Big time zone right here. That's your previous month's close price. And look at 1, 2, 3, 4 days here of trading in this narrow range just above that level. The big time zone clearly trending up. Can we get another rotation back to the upside, kind of a flagging pattern here that can break to the upside, or do we fail at 103? 103, the previous month's midpoint, failing there, and you open up a little bit of a corrective phase that could take you as deep as yearly VWAP at 95K and the previous month's low, which is right around that zone as well. So big time zone right here. If it can hold, have another shot higher. If you fail, you could drop into previous value below. So watching that area very closely here in Bitcoin. Looking at Ethereum, this one's up 0.4%. We've already seen a tremendous bounce off our 1,400 level. 1,400 and nearly doubling to 2,800, 2,791 here over the last 2 months. Now in a super tight compression. This compression could open up the next 1,000 point move in Ethereum. After this wave to the upside, the best thing we could see is some sort of pullback and rejection. We can bounce off 2,400 or 2,300 on the next pullback. It could thrust this thing through 2,800 and into 3,400 up ahead. So that could be the next 1,000 point move. You know, dropping into 24, rallying into 34 could be the case. Maybe we get a little bit lower. What if we get into 2,300? Then maybe again 23 to 3,300, something like that plays out. 3,400 could still be in play. So still very bullish here. A lot of energy, a lot of build up, and any pullback could still be a buying opportunity in Ethereum for bulls looking to stretch this thing toward 3,400. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out here heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.